Well, welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the second day of action here for week number 2 of the ESL Pro League for North America. We are live at the Intel Esports Arena, and this is the Xfinity Analyst Desk. Of course, joining me over here once again is James IRL and Eric DeBears-Strongberg. Now, as we are getting ready to jump into our second match of the evening, Cloud9 will be taking on Immortals. Gentlemen, initial thoughts as we get ready to jump into this matchup.
I'm excited to see Inferno. I think Inferno's a great map for these two teams. Inferno's kind of like an equalizer map, right? Usually has close games, so this should be a slugfest.
It should be a slugfest, though. Immortals, they do have a fill-in for today.
And who is that?
That is Zach, their coach.
Filling in for who?
Good old K.
KNG, King Vito. He's the super aggressive and puts up the frags and the numbers, so it justifies his aggressiveness, so they'll be going without that. So I'm wondering how that'll play out, because I think KNG's biggest thing is his aggression on CT side. He just has a knack for knowing where and when to do it, so I think that'll be the biggest thing they'll be missing.
Absolutely, and you can see the rest of the roster on your screen now. Henny, Lucas, Bolts, Steele, the usual four for Immortals, will still be playing for the team this evening, of course, but Zach is filling in for KNG as he has a visa issue, so he's had to go back to Brazil to solve that, and that, according to the news, can take up to 2 weeks to get that settled. Meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, though, for Cloud9, while one does leave, another one will come back in, and that is going to be Automatic, who jumps back onto the primary roster for this week, and of course contributing his own skills to it. No longer as the IGL, though, as we discussed earlier, Tarek is now taking over that role, so Automatic can focus fully on fragging. How do we think that is going to be changing up the dynamic for the team now that Automatic specifically can just focus fully on his own gameplay?
Well, I think with C9, they have some work to do. Obviously, in the previous matches in Malmo, their teamwork looks a little off. They still have to figure out what roles or what they want to, I guess, do inside the game. The timing was a little off. You see Tarek rushing out a little too eager, and his teammates are not catching up behind him, handing up early kills. But you know what? Time can help them out. They could all buckle up, learn from their mistakes, and eventually find out a game plan that really works for them.
Yeah, I mean, they played, so they had an opening match against North on Inferno. That was their first map at Malmo, and then they played SK in a BO3. All 3 of the maps they played at Malmo, they lost, however, or no, they played 4 maps. They also beat Boot. I don't want to discount that. But I'm saying against SK and North, both super strong teams, they looked pretty good. They had some rounds. They had the lead twice in those games. It's just finishing the game they had a little trouble with. So I think there's actually some good things ahead for Cloud9.
And not only did they have trouble at Malmo, however, but they did also have trouble at home, as we talked about earlier in the show. Cloud9 currently have a 1-3 record in the ESL Pro League, so they're going to have to look to matches like these, which are going up against some of the greater teams, in order to get themselves back higher in the rankings. Do we see a chance here for them to be able to take down Immortals, especially now that Immortals is missing one of their key players?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's actually kind of lucky, right? Like, you should take advantage of that here. Get some wins right now. I'm not saying they should win. I'm just saying, like, sure, yeah, let's take advantage of this. Like, I'm not going to complain about you not having your normal 5th. Like, let's take advantage of this.
I think for Cloud9, at this point, they have to start making some work. They have to start winning some maps. And you're playing against one of the top teams in the league and in the world without their 5th player, the coach, who I hear is pretty, still pretty awesome at CS. You just have to minimize the mistakes. And we've seen potential from C9. They were up on SK, actually, I think like 13-6 or something.
13-6 on Train. They won the first gun. They went basically 5-0 on the second half, right, after already having a lead. Yeah. And then they didn't get any other rounds after that.
So they have the potential. They have the firepower. It's just having the right pieces in the right place.
And it's kind of unfortunate also for Cloud9, right, because they're one of those big-name teams where it's like you're usually going to be getting the best game from your opponent, right? So I think this will be a really good match here. I'm excited to watch it.
Well, our first map is going to be Inferno, and as we are starting the discussion about Inferno, we can take a look at the odds here as well. A solid 2 for the guys on Immortals, and Cloud9 does take the edge of it with a 1.75 odds in their favor. Good odds here, pretty even matchup, right? So I'd say these odds are...
I thought it'd be more towards in favor of Immortals, to be honest, but maybe the coach playing in kind of skewed that towards Cloud9. So I think the series can go 1-1. I think that's going to go 1-1.
Talking specifically about Inferno, James, earlier you said you were excited to see Inferno played out. Now, why is that?
Because Inferno it's just that it has the the type of map layout to where it favors an even game, right? You can still win rounds on eco rounds, like it's just more favorable for that. And also there's a lot of interesting plays you can make anywhere across the map, right? Like CTs can take aggression almost anywhere. I'd say that apartments is probably the place where you see it happen least often, but that doesn't mean it can't happen, right? That means that creative plays can happen there. You're going to see a lot of deep banana control, double mollies, nades. Stewie and Automatic are going to be holding down B, pretty stalwart defense over there. Double ops coming out for both sides. I'm interested if Immortals is going to run a double op without KNG there.
Well, it looks like it is time to bring our casters into the discussion now, as it is almost indeed match time. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts as you're getting ready now to jump into this match?
I definitely see this being a really fun game. I'm super excited for the comeback of Zach. I think this is his time. He's got to really solidify a good performance here, and then maybe there won't be a need for KNG to come back.
That's ambitious, Launders. He's a coach after all.
I'm a big fan of Zach.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Kind of biased? Why are you a big fan? Tell me. Give me details.
He's just he seems like when I interviewed him, at least, he had a lot of a really good outlook on what makes a good coach.
Okay.
And actually said that he was, I think, one of 2 coaches in the world that was doing it properly, which are, could be fighting words, but I think he backed it up with a lot of the ways that he talked about how he prepares with his team. I also appreciate that he has a history with the game himself, which is always nice to know. C9 also, Valens is also a very good player, James is a very good player, and they are helping out their roster, and I definitely think that it's important to have a history, at least within CSGO in particular, to say that you can lead a team of players who are playing that game.
Out of the sake of curiosity, he says one of 2 coaches that he thinks doing it right. Who's number 2?
I can't remember. Yeah, I wasn't keeping it a secret, but you can watch the interview.
Can I find that at youtube.com/BoxerCS?
On the YouTube CS, or what, on the YouTube? No, CS Boxer.
I don't know.
Anyways.
Here we go. Pistol round for Cloud9. They're already over towards the B-bomb site, but it's Henny to open up onto Stu. Bolt has to fall off of the coffins, and as he actually re-peaks, he goes down. So Hen's going to have to double into this one with a second frag already, and the entirety of the Immortals rotating over, Zach, of course, included. Now we've got Automatic still playing over towards the banana. He's going to be that late insurance policy, but Skadoodle gets executed from behind as Zach takes 2 heads and leaves it on Automatic. Timothy Todd tapping off the Glock, tries to find some success, and while he only gets 1 kill, it's the pistol in the pockets of Immortals.
It's really great. They knew where he was. They just all decided to push him at once. There was 4 people there. Very little chance for him to win that. I think every time he did peek, they did stutter step just out of their natural instincts, I think, but ultimately kept putting that pressure on, making it very difficult for him. So overall, Cloud9 get the bomb plant, which is really nice. They actually end up crossing before the smoke plumes because they needed to get in the site. Maybe if they waited a couple more seconds, could have had an extra man to work with. But off the back of that plant are just going to be upgrading pistols, getting a nade flash, and trying to obviously maybe get another plant. The difficult part about rushing B on pistols is sometimes teams play 3B. If teams didn't play 3B on pistol, it'd be rushed way more often, because usually you'd need a pretty good nade set to try to stop people if you only have 2, and pistols is a much more even playing field, so it's a very unique round in that way.
Of course, that frag grenade has already been thrown by Cloud9, hoping to catch a man on cross. And while Bolts does get tagged up to 82, he successfully gets over. So he's all right now, sitting in the backside of the bomb site. 3 players for Immortals setting up on A. And of course, Zach's going to be playing that rotator position. Now, a little bit of pressure applied to the top of Banana by Cloud9, but they haven't really announced themselves. Instead, they're just letting Automatic creep in with his D. Gets Henny above, though, that should catch him off. He actually falls to the side of Oranges. His rush then goes for the cross. Skadoodle drops Lucas, and now he takes his brother. Automatic finding the headshot, but then taking one himself. And there's Ska again. Bolts clearing up these close corners as the bomb's gone down, but someone's in between them. That's going to be Stewie, actually creeping to the backside of Library. He could catch Steel, but Steel's going to give chase, and this at least buys time.
Yeah, now it's just up to Stewie to decide whether or not he wants to push, and the entire time, Steel is going to be worried about this flank that is imminent, really. Bolt's going to be moving in by himself. The Molly here to assist him. He's going to clear out Emo, no problem. but they've got to defuse.
Skadoodle's going to be playing that corner, just hoping he can buy off time. Bolt's tapping the bomb once, and now it's all on Ska. 2 kills is all he'll get, but Cloud9 still find the round.
Wow, no kit to defuse. Bomb goes off, and Cloud9 win off of 2 great entries. I mean, that's the difficulty about playing back in the site. It's also dangerous, though, on an eco round to play forward aggression on B. Maybe use your counter nades and then fall back can be one of the more ideal ways to play it, or safest in general. But here, obviously, Lucas getting bullied at spools when he probably should have got 2. Henny dying when he probably should have got 2. It's just a matter of Cloud9 being really on point aim-wise, completely abusing them, and just getting in the site immediately. So not an easy site to retake, even versus pistols.
Early grenades to the top of Banana should worry the Immortals, seeing as they do have Lucas posted up on that deagle with Henny by his side. So those 2 rifles here in the hands of Immortals, or primaries rather, seeing as Steel has the ump, are actually over on A. Immortals banking on the fact that they might go that way, but either way, it's automatic to have to trade out on Stu, seeing as Lucas and Henny combine for that frag off of their pistols.
This is what we're seeing become more and more common, is that even on these eco rounds to try to clear out top Banana just because of the safe Molotovs and flashes and stuff like that that you can use. It denies any big flank. That can be a huge problem for you if you're trying to set up at mid, and it can also result in a couple of free frags if there are Ts that are, or CTs, excuse me, in positions like sandbags that that are really easy to clear out if you have a Molotov. If not, they can maybe get a kill, but if they do, it's a free frag. Pretty safe setup on A as Zach rotates over to B on what seems like a hunch. This is kind of surprising, but at the same time, they're shuffling because they don't necessarily win the round, even though they're 5v4. Here, they are low on weapons and still have to make a kind of gamble.
Automatic's going to be left to try and pry into the bomb site. Almost gets the read on Henny's position, but it's Rush and Bolts taking kills apiece on A. Bolts is now left stranded inside the bomb site entirely alone. As the bomb and Rush wrap round arch side, Bolts needs to stave this off, and he will the first. Rush is down. Man advantage in the hands of Immortals, but the bomb's now on site. Bolts nearly gets the kill, enough so that Zach trades it, and now there is no time. Automatic clearing up the bomb site is gonna have to forfeit this back to the Immortals.
Oh man, I wonder if Skadoodle got that kill any faster. Would he have been able to win that round? I think he still got shot in the back, and it probably would have been difficult to get at a sight of that from that position, but yeah, it's tough to call. In many ways, Immortals are able to win it off that 5v4, even when they had Zach leave A when it was pretty much full-on A hit. Skadoodle was the only person top Banana, and didn't even get a kill. So the 5 people there, and now Immortals know that it's either going to be a force or just a save from Cloud9. Have decided to invest in UMPs. They're set up pretty standard here. The only main difference between this and a force buy is they have all their utility, which can be a big deal, especially for negating rushes, which is probably something that Cloud9 would like to do, because the default's not going to be as strong when you only have pistols.
We're going to see a couple smoke grenades being chucked over the rooftops. First one belongs to Tarek, and that'll section off Zach. Again, he's been playing that rotator position from Arch, but this time it's him who receives the rotate, seeing as Lucas has given up the B site and allowed for Henny to push towards the top of Banana. Gonna be playing the UMP at a distance. Again, not the most effective gun at range anymore, but regardless, still very powerful. Cloud9 able to creep out of Boiler Door. So many players here on lane side, but that's exactly where the Immortals want to stop them. Steel inside the sights, able to grab one as Bolts holds on to Pit. Finally trading back onto Tarek, dropping the bomb in the process and leaving it on automatic. 1v3, too much to handle. Immortals with another round.
So you kind of knew that Cloud9 were going to try to take A when they had, I think it was Tarek go back and throw that Molotov, because they assumed that if we make a little bit of presence on Banana, we know that potentially no one is spotting, and they didn't really search it out properly, and we saw Henny at top Banana by himself with line of sight all the way down to the bottom of it, and that allowed his teammates to rotate over. That's why people go for Banana control on Inferno. So the rotate's so long. If you can play 4A, you can have one person on B with so much information at very little cost. And we have the double mollies on Banana to take control. Smoke at the bottom. Players trying to rush through it, and obviously on pistols as well. It's very little lose. Substantial
damage off of the frag. Stewie sits on 12. So Henny and Lucas are just going to hold their ground. They're going to pepper shots down range, and that clears up 3 near 4. Poor Rush, stuck on 8 health, just cowers to the corner. With a P250 in hand, both him and Tarek, now losing his teammate, has sealed his deal. Rush removed, Cloud9 stagnates, still on 1 as Immortals continue forward.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff. The only loss there was the amount of utility that they used, but they plan to do that over and over again. It's really important, especially, giving up banana control to a team that is adamant on taking it is going to be huge, because you're going to always do really, really good free early damage to a team in their defaults, and that's going to make it hard for them to execute later on, especially when their entry fragger melts because they're at half HP right from the get-go.
Ooh, aggressive play versus the gun round of Cloud9. They're going to hear this coming, but Lucas still drops 1. Stewie's able to trade back quickly, but Steel's still here, so he sprays onto Rush and gets caught on the bench by Tarek, who pops his head up from the tunnel, and however, has let Immortals keep pushing in. This is Zach now, to the backside of the apps. And we can see Immortals rotating one of their players from the B site in order to hold off mid. This is going to give Zach an opportunity to strike from behind as long as Bolts can hold the line.
The thought process here is obviously Immortals hadn't spent a lot of money 5 alive and decided to stay with their UMP, so want to go for the rush. Zach taking his time here, won't actually get checked, has opportunity for 3 kills as Stewie is extremely low, and on the flank, shoots in between them, doesn't finish off the first kill. Tarek trades him out and gets a second.
Nicely done. With a minute to the clock still, Tarek's going to take that bomb and start to charge towards A. Not only have they removed the flank that had to come from the A site, but then they also catch the man on mid. Process of elimination leaves Henny more probably at B, and they are right in assuming so. But can he clutch this? Tarek's been tagged to 36, and Henny does have that kit, but he's going to have to try and unearth at least one of these players before he pushes towards bomb.
Oh, and he might have a friend. It's a matter of timing, really. His automatic walks back down the stairs just as Henny turns around to go into the site and gets killed. So I think this is the flank position from Zach. Actually, some damage dealt. The instant 180, Tarek cleans him up, no problem. And yeah, that second kill as well. It results in the round pretty much able to shut down that whole play. But because of the way that they played it, and because it was influenced by the fact that they didn't want to upgrade their guns, so they decided to do something quick. They've got lots of money to re-up here. The only difference is Zach has a FAMAS, but that's about it. They're on equal terms, and Henny has an off as well.
Going back to the 3-man stack at A is Immortals. Stewie's already been tagged up for half his health. And he's just going to continue on here. Off of the flashbangs, clearing the corners, but I feel like Immortals might pry back into this. Is it a good idea to peek back from Banana after having lost it?
Sometimes you can catch people setting up. There's a situation right there. Stewie actually hoping for his peak, but wasn't in position in time, and he might have died anyway if he didn't have perfect crosshair placement. The op in a great position, automatic, looking for the trade, can't find it, not catching Henny off guard, fully anticipating somebody to re-aggress from Cloud9, and he was correct about it in both instances.
Now we'll see if Tarek and Co can charge up Arch. Playing trade frags as all 3 players are side by side, but they're starting to get boxed in here. Again, Immortals have 4 players near. They're not pushing up on lane side, but rather just holding sight. It's a peek from Lucas that costs them now. While damage is dealt to Rush, that's only a 1-man advantage, still in the hands of Immortals. Tarek's going to keep up the pressure, charging through the arch. As Zach plays with the side of the smoke, he then decides to reel backwards. This opens up the B site, but Henny locks it down, taking Tarek as he rounds the corner, leaves Rush to trade the frag, but Henny's now got a 4K in this one. The ace on the table as Skadoodle's coming in from CT spawn. It's a beauty of a sniper round for Henny.
Honestly, it was not even just like a 4K and ace. It was really smart kills every single time. The way he fell back, every player came into his crosshair just as he expected him to. He's picking logs there. He's waiting for someone to come and trade. He gets that kill. He holds B down on the flank, and that's just super easy stuff for him. And, you know, flashy kills are great when you have to flick, but this is a result of game sense when they're coming to you. And it's beautiful that he's able to do that 5 kills in a row. Excellent stuff. And it's not something you see every day from Henny, who's extremely aggressive.
We saw 7 frags in mid last night off of a grenade stack, and Steel's able to clean up 2 already here now. Finds a 3rd frag versus Rush, so excellent anti-eco already. And of course, Immortals with Lucas and Henny are not going to shy away from a push. They know that Cloud9 are weak, they smell the blood in the water, and obviously Tarek's just grasping for straws, hoping he can find something here. But as he rounds that corner, Bolts will drop him. It's only automatic with Bomb, and while he tags a man with the Glock, ultimately taking a kill, it's Immortals with another great success.
Yeah, you know, it's a consolation prize at this point. There's not a lot of money to buy. I'm not even sure they have enough on all players to justify doing this. They might have to armor pistol here, and I think if they anticipated it, they might have tried to half buy on that previous round. But nonetheless, there it is. They've got half armor on 3 players, or full on rush, and some nades. A lot of nades, actually. Maybe they set up something full. That looks like it potentially be off the right off the jump. Ooh,
nice 1-2 Molotov there. Not only stopping Stewie in his tracks, but then forcing him back and allowing for Henny to post up on an angle. Despite the shot going astray, he is still able to retreat to the site, so that's perfectly fine. They take an initiative, they tag up 2 players on Cloud9, and they haven't given a window of opportunity for the T side to exploit.
So they all creep up together. They've earned it for just about 100 HP. It's not too bad for a team that's basically saving and now have enough smokes to kind of come in with a full execute. Everybody in positions that they can get smoked out from, which is also interesting. Henny, when seeing this, however, might rotate into a better spot. Here's going to be pretty aggressive. Lucas is well pushing in.
Nice 2 kills off of the off. Lucas finding 1, swaps to the sidearm, taps away as Zach will arrive. And Immortals find 7 already. So again, a very successful anti-eco. Nice buy from Cloud9, trying to employ strategy, trying to employ tactics, but ultimately cut down as they run into those guns.
Yep, now we're into the nitty-gritty. The full buy up from Cloud9. They're going to try to bring this back at a 5-round deficit. 7 up for Immortals, as maybe expected on CT side, but at the same time, you can't be excused from having a poor T-half on this new Inferno. Very wide open choke points, very friendly to both full executes and loose defaults. Individual plays way more than we once had on classic Inferno. That was a kind of a nightmare for the individual on T side.
Nice frag.
It's a value grenade.
Yep. Not necessarily blasting anybody away, but at least chipping down on 3.
And that kind of damage is important. We see that happen like really often. You know, wall bangs, shooting through smokes, throwing grenades where you think people are going to be. You don't see the effect of the damage while you're playing, and most people never watch all their demos. But if you look back at a lot of rounds, you'll see that this damage results in trades won for the team later in the round a lot of times. But look at this 4 setup on A from Immortals, working way too well. Cloud9 are trying to work B as best they can, but Immortals are not biting on this and playing 2 or 3 B anymore. They're reading them like a book.
Of course, Bolts in the pit, such a strong position, is going to throw another frag out. More damage done to both Tarek and Automatic. So now before even seeing a target, both of those players are sitting under 50 HP, especially Tarek, who's a stiff breeze away from death. However, Rush has been left inside of the corner on mid, and he catches Zach as he tries to cross. It's Henny to get aggressive, and he gets his shot gone wide, gets punished for it, as Stu is now able to open up the B-bomb site, push towards coffins, and secure the backside of the church, as the bomb should be able to find itself planted.
Really nice entry. That strafe out to make that shot hard for Henny was exactly as intended, I'm sure, from Stewie. Zach dying at Arch after knowing Rush is there too is a tough pill to swallow, and now there's only 2 players up on this retake. They pretty much just need to stay alive at this point. It's going to be hard to win this round.
Stewie drops the smoke, but Lucas gives chase and sprays into his face as he tries to cower in the corner. Lucas continuing forward on the retake, but the fire's going to block this off. And of course, Bolts is still sitting inside of spawn. They both need to get towards site, where Skadoodle holds the line, finding 1 frag and traded back, as this anchor on Banana will surely seal the deal. It's going to be Cloud9 with a 3rd round of the board.
Oh, I love that. Automatic doesn't even let him save there. Goes for the kill in kind of a tough situation. If he died, it would have been weird, but you wouldn't expect someone to be sitting there waiting for that long when he knows that they crossed, actually. So another round on the board. Good damage dealt in that one as well. And as we can see by looking at these rounds, it's been reset after reset. So critically important that C9 put 2 in a row together, because they are still pretty broke even after having that bomb plant. Standard stuff. The mollies on Banana. There's no Cloud9 players here. Last round we saw them work A to the point that it looked like they were actually going to commit to it, then fall back and win the round at A. Immortals have been playing 4 there and getting away with it, and that was a good answer and good changeup. But again, good grenade usage.
Just softens up the targets as they come flooding forward. Bolts finding the first and Steel takes the next. Ska was able to find some opening that Automatic then doubles down on, but now they need to secure it with Steel still to the corner. He gets peeked on by 2 players at the perfect time. They're able to secure the A site and find the bomb plant. As a minute hits the clock, it's Immortals on the retake. Ooh, op shot. Goes wide, but through the wall, he finds damage done on Tarek. Tries to follow suit with another shot, but then he's going to reposition inside of Balk. Meanwhile, Lucas trying to work in on Moto. But again, there's so much utility here for Cloud9. They're able to stave this off. Eventually, Immortals are going to push the fight. More damage done through smoke. We still have Rush on the site itself. He's the first to fall. Automatic's going to get pinned into the short side, and Henny wants a push forward. He's going to catch Automatic, but doesn't actually fire. Instead, he clears the corner as the bomb goes off, and Automatic goes down with it.
Yeah, looking for the kill. And just as you pointed out about grenade usage, because they were able to walk explode out halls and get out and get that first entry without throwing any grenades, not having to use any on top bracket or have any thrown on the site to just get control of things first, the afterplant becomes that much more difficult for Immortals when they've got to rotate in, wait for all these smokes to dissipate, wait for Molotovs to extinguish, and it pretty much makes it impossible, really. They're just delaying to the point that you have 10 or less seconds to even get the plant or defuse.
If Automatic sidesteps, Henny could take his head. But the Brazilian gives up on his angle, and instead he awaits this bomb carrier. It's going to be Tarek. No aggressive stance from Immortals down Banana this time around. We've seen a lot of utility usage. That 1-2 Molotov with a frag then flying deep allows for Henny to either go for the peak or just post up on an angle. But instead they play passive, pushing players to the back of the site and just waiting for Cloud9 to arrive.
This definitely does feel like a battle of titans. Good responses both ways. The Banana control has worked out. The late Banana hits afterwards have worked out for Cloud9. It's a matter of reinventing yourself for the terrorists and for the CTs. It's just figuring out what Cloud9 want to do next. I think Cloud9 with that last round have also figured out that Immortals are spending a lot of people at Arch as opposed to lane and try to circumvent that by coming out halls. Oh, capitalizes on what Tarek thinks is a shoulder peek, but he goes a bit wide.
And Bolts tries to push out from Apps, but all he had was that Mag 7, so Zach instead has to trade onto Rush as Lucas holds the line, dropping Stewie off the front side of Banana. And that's now the bomb in the open. So great play from Zach, being able to trade out Bolts, and more importantly, securing that bomb. You can see how now Henny's being pulled back towards middle in order to push down or at least look down that lane. And instead it leaves Automatic to secure the bomb from Alt.
Really good of Zach here to not only get the bomb, get a better position, but in him being proactive has also just found a spot where he can stay and be alive. And that's important, not blowing the man advantage whatsoever. Knowing kind of where the terrorists are, and with this UMP, might want to get a bit frisky, but it seems like Cloud9 are in safe positions and will move on to round 13 with 2 alive. Money's low, though. They're looking worse for wear, and there's Tarek going just a little bit too wide.
Yeah, he tries to go for that knife-out shoulder peek.
It is definitely a skill in itself to be able to shoulder peek well, and I always say, like, Coldzera has the best shoulder peeks. Like, he's super good at baiting out shots, and it's tough. And the keyboard movement, it's its own skill.
Scoodoodle hopes for the peek in mid, and the smoke covers Steel just at the moment's notice. Frag grenades going each way. No one taking substantial damage. And of course, there's only those 2 rifles for Cloud9, so those guys need to stay alive.
Another good grenade.
Yeah, excellently done. Automatic takes the head of Zach. That opens up a push over on Arch. Bolts is going to get pinned inside the grave stairs, and Lucas is fully blind, so the T's are free to do as they please, which did not include Skadoodle being taken down. It's going to give the man advantage to Immortals and push Cloud9 into the CT spawn. Where do they go from here, though? That's the big question. They're not going to have Henny just kind of peering from the back of Church, and so they're allowed to play to their own devices.
Lucas is a weak point here, very low. And they can kind of come back. Even though he falls back to the site, looking for damage, actually gets it on Stewie without taking any from himself.
Still sitting on 2 points of health as Tarek at least pins him to the backside of the site, steals frag to Stewie, now forces his hand. Tarek and Rush, they've got to make a play. And with 30 seconds left, time expired last time round. That's a big kill. Steal removed to the side of the apps. Leaves Tarek to creep into the bomb site. Again, Lucas is sitting inside of that corner, but they still need to worry about Bolts. He's been constantly inside of pit, and now he peeks to find Tarek as Rush is toppled over. Lucas jumps to the top of the box, finds the frag, the defuse to follow suit, and Immortals now 1 round away from securing double digits.
Wow, the Immortals are doing such great work in this chaos, and the smokes look a little bit strange, but it's gotten really weird at Arch where they're taking it, they're able to go back into CT. The funny part is about each of these rounds that they've been in CT is that Henny's there alone at B with his op or whatever it may be, and that's only one player that you either have to smoke out, shoulder peek to bait a shot out of just to advance. But instead they decide to come back to A, and it's actually not Immortals to try to push down in mid in response. And I think that Cloud9 expected there to be a 2-2 setup where if you're closer to A, you feel like you can catch one player off guard just hurt, you might as well hit that site. But in reality, it's in each of these situations, it's been Immortal to have 3 players there just on the right side of the site. Probably were kind of scared that it was going to be a B hit and that they weren't going to be able to help their teammates, but Cloud9 have been playing into their hand, and for that reason, I'd say they don't have a truly good pulse on the game. I feel like Immortals are doing a great job of kind of conditioning them to do what they want to.
Of course, Cloud9 coming into this one with a deflated buy. We've got pistols aplenty, the double flash, and a single smoke for Stu. Pick up the pace towards middle. Rush, staying true to his name, does charge into the op of Zach. Great hold as Steele finds 3 and takes it to just Tarek, who's plucked from the skies. A perfect round from Immortals.
Yeah, solid. I mean, didn't lose anybody, straight up mid-hit. You would think you would actually at least catch one person off guard, and Zach did have his pants down, but as soon as he pulled out that op, hit that first bullet. Obviously, good spray control from Steele to make sure he stays alive in the face of those 3 pistoling players. Now we move on to what is the last round of the game, round 15. Oh, last round of the half, excuse me. Not an excellent buy from Cloud9, but serviceable. They have a Galil and just some utility to work with, but it is in the face of a double op setup. Zach, now that he's picked it up, let's see if he can do some real work here. 4 players in ults from Cloud9. And they look to just make sure that no one's pushed down mid, knowing that Immortals, even with advantages, are willing to put everything on the line for a really aggressive push.
I can't help but feel like that early success in the half from Henny and Lucas over on the B site has really pushed Cloud9 towards A. I mean, they're confident enough to just leave Henny there very early on. We saw 2 players posted up using all their utility, but now we just watch the Opper hold the angle and stay there. I mean, even in this round, when Skadoodle peeks around the corner, Henny gets the kill. That's the bomb still now lingering towards the T ramp. The entirety of Cloud9 on the cusp of the A site, but they can't push in just yet. They need to retrieve the bomb. Or, alternatively, set up players up close and then fall back all the way towards B.
They don't have the bomb.
I don't even know if they've noticed. Finally, we see Stewie going back for it. 3 players flood through Arch side, trying to wrap into B, and Stewie opens this up.
That actually works out perfectly. Stewie only went back to mid to get the bomb, and now they have a B split and the kill on Henny, who probably would have came back to Banana and opt them coming through CT, and are probably going to win the round because of it.
Do you feel like this is a bit of a fluke?
Yeah, it's just luck. I'm pretty sure he would just wrap with them.
Of course, it could still go the way of the Brazilians. Immortals already breathing down the necks of Cloud9. They've got themselves 2 players to the backside of the site. First peek from Automatics punished. Tarek takes the trade, but now he's pinned in. They know exactly where he is as Immortals sit in the 2v2. They have an idea that maybe Stu is also behind the boxes. Now they know for sure. So they've got them both to the back of the site. They've got them both dead to rights. It's going to be Cloud9 only with 4.
Wow, I mean, I'm not glad they lost the round, but I think they were very fortunate to have gotten that close, I will say. And I have to say, I'm not sure what the read was, but that's the last round of the half.
So stay tuned and come back for the second half, ESL Pro League.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, the City of Odense, GeForce GTX, Lenovo Legion, Bedway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, Xfinity, and ESEA.
High five for everybody.
Cloud9 securing 4 rounds on the T side of Inferno in that opening half versus the Brazilian Immortals, who looked fantastic in that first half, but there is still a closeout that's needed.
Yeah, there is still a closeout that needed, but damn, they did look good. And there's also a lot of bad things to say about Cloud9. I feel like just in terms of the calling, it looked like they didn't have a good read on what was going on. I'm not sure what their tell was, but it seemed like they were trying to go A no matter what, in a sense. And just as you mentioned, maybe it was because they were afraid of Henny at B and because of that early success on controlling Banana. But even when they went into CT, decided to reroute to A, it was like almost every time they felt like they had like a better chance to win at A, and that's where I'm confused. Like, what is the reason for that? Why do they feel like it was weaker? Was it because of the halls hit? They just have this one round they felt like, all right, they're definitely weak here, but could never figure it out. And every single time, Immortals had up to 3 players left over at A to try to stop them. So a bad read, I think, and they were just maybe a little bit too adamant about crushing the site, resulted in what's close to an abysmal half. A lot of resets in there.
And again, this is much more reminiscent to a scoreline you'd see on the old Inferno. 11 rounds to the CT side.
Yeah, this is like the standard. This is like the standard half.
Yeah, good job, guys.
Yeah, this is gonna be easy.
Lots of utility for Immortals to play off of. Single molly, single smoke, double flashbang. Of course, on the other side, we've got the kit double flash on Scott. And an early banana peek from Stewie.
Now that they actually got Stewie to shy away, they've all gone back to A. If they weren't there to stop his peek, he might have just pushed down on this execute, so important to note.
Yeah, it's going to buy a lot of time for the rotation here in the favor of Immortals. You can still see Cloud9 not even over towards, say, CT spawn or the edge of the rotation. They're back and committed. So Henny charging into the bomb site, clears Tarek from the corner, but there's still a man on stairs. That's Rush trying to lock it down until Zach takes his head and Automatic calls for reinforcements. He gets gushed to 1 point of health as Ska and Stu arrive. But where do they go from here? Again, all 5 players for Immortals still standing, all of which on site. Stewie's going to try desperately, frantically so, to get into this, but he's fully blinded. So Immortals continue to buy time. As Automatic's removed, Stu has been pinned in, and as he tries to cross back, he's just peppered with a whole bunch of 9mm. Skadoodle, well, he needs to retreat. He'll save his flashbang and kit for round 2.
What's really interesting about their setup on A was Rush's spot at Graveyard is a really good one on the pistol round because you can't wallbang it, but at the same time, he's stuck there with no angle to work with, meaning that he has to hit a headshot right away or just stave off one of the choke points that's fighting him so that he can reposition. But it's hard to get away from there, and once you're spotted, it's tough. But if you have a teammate to help you crossfire the site, then you can focus on one thing like Halls, not have to worry about lane, or or hit that first kill and then put the T's in the back foot. But once they can aggress and once they kill your teammate, your spot becomes a lot less useful.
Double Mac 10 here for Immortals, looking to really milk the cash cow. And Cloud9 are at least armored for it. 3 CZs, the Deeg, and a P250. Triple flashbang as well to play with. Maybe they can use those to turn the tide of a fight. But Immortals actually not going as aggressive as some would expect. Sure enough, putting bolts to the top of Banana, but nobody's here to trade him. So I feel like this is much more of a desperate antic. He's really just trying to feel out the B site. Henny's gotten closer, so now the trade's on the table. They could definitely double in on this. But at the same time, Lucas takes mid, so Immortals feeling out their options.
Yeah, constant pressure on both sides of the map. Lucas kind of dipping his toes in this crossfire, which can get risky, especially when you get this close to the wall. The guy who's on lane can actually see you, but now that the smoke comes out and everyone's grouped, they're going to push up together and only have Skadoodle to fight against.
He's actually going to go back to the backside of Arch, allows for 4 to cross as Henny just holds on to mid. So Tarek's going to feel the heat, and as is Rush. Ex-Optic players trying to lock down the A site, but now both are cleared as Bolts takes 2 and Henny the last. So Immortals with a perfect conversion.
Yeah, very simple, just top B control, bracket control, make it really difficult with low utility to come and retake anything. And on their one attempt, we're so grouped that the trade was inevitable. Didn't even have to come to that. Really made good use of both their aim, their utility, map control, everything to create a perfect anti-eco. And now they move on to 13-4, not having lost a man, and with these MAC 10s, so that means even more money that Cloud9 have to fight back against.
Of course, this time they don't have the buffer of Kevlar, so they're just going to charge down mid, desperately hoping for something to go their way, and they actually take 2 off the USPs until Henny arrives and just mows them down. Steel finding Rush on alt mid, leaves only automatic. And while he has 100 health, he has no teammates, no gun, and very little chances.
Yeah, I mean, not a desperation buy. They had nothing to invest. They decided to run down mid, end up hitting a couple of headshots really fast, and get those kills. But the kills in response to clean it up means that this means nothing. Immortals lost 2 MAC 10s. They keep all the AKs they had coming into this round. Automatic won't have one to find, even if he does rummage around at mid, and he's just going to hope that they go B, and once he hears this bomb go down, the only thing that is worth saving is the $300 that you might be giving to one of the Immortals players. But the upside is, if you do get a kill, you can maybe knock down 5K in equipment value, so why not try? It's no good.
No. Odds so heavily stacked against him. That one's an easy cleanup. The entirety of the round, really. But I mean, I love that kind of approach here from Cloud9. You buy a couple of flashbangs, it's a minimal investment. I mean, not even a P250 on anyone. And yet, you still net yourself 2 kills in the round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the easy 2 kills, why not? The difficult part now is not the economy. Their minds are just like focused on rounds. They're just thinking about climbing this mountain, and it's really tough. It's really tough mentally to know you have no outs, that you have to have perfect calls, perfect reads, hit every shot, all your trades, keep people alive, use double op setup, keep reinventing yourself, and not make any mistakes in the process.
Going with the God Flash off of the chimney. Everyone's fully blind. Perfect push, but Skadoodle dodges it. Able to find 1 as Rush from pit takes 2. Drops the bomb and leaves Immortals to come in on lane. Preemptive nade's going to do some damage. That's Bolt sitting on 50. Re-peeks off the flash, and Rush has done it. Takes it to the 1 versus 3 for Zach, who is able to clear the pit. With a minute left to play, he is taken away. Stewie finds the headshot and a breath of life for Cloud9.
Yeah, a little one, and we just see why it's so important to play pit and double pit, and how strong double pit is really. If they didn't even have a bait there, the other player who died took the attention away from Rush, but there's so many positions that you can be in that it's really hard to clear. When you jump out of halls and there's someone under balc, you aren't able to clear it until you jump out, and so that makes that spot really strong to at least get 1 kill, and Rush shows us how to turn it into a multi. Now, top banana control taken from Cloud9. They're going to try to, not actually boost, but eat nade damage in the process, and we have noted time and time again how good Immortals nades have been on this map. I mean, that's something worth watching alone, just their timings and where they've been throwing them.
Great way to go for the peek, but Bolt still stops it. So Automatic tries to put Stewie up in the cover, allowing for him then to walk forward as opposed to jumping up behind that wall and offering his head, but it's still ripped away. Bolts, nicely done, takes the 5v4 and puts Immortals in a prime spot to maybe secure OT. Henny with the next frag onto Skadoodle, just cracks Arch side wide open. Tarek Molotov's off short and gets caught as Lucas rounds the corner. Not aware that that could happen, I suppose, as he's now down for the count and leaves both players over on B.
Yeah, I think he just tried to get out of there as soon as he could. but thought he had like a couple more moments that they maybe would have respected CT a little bit more, or Library, and taken their time so that he could get in pit properly. But it was completely heard what he was doing once he fell because of our man in the apps. And you know, the round is over once Skadoodle dies at Arch, kind of their last hope at that moment. So, you know, CT spots are great, but once the information is gathered on where they are and there isn't enough utility to make yourself unknown again, it's pretty much the terrorist game to lose. There's no reason why that trade shouldn't happen. And Immortals have done a great job at opening up sites, getting picks, guaranteeing trades, closing out these anti-ecos cleanly. And even though they're a little bit low right now, they're on match point. Wow. So it's been such a quick game.
I feel like, I mean, we're 20 rounds deep in what feels like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So very fast play from both sides here. Not really burning down that clock, always executing with ample time to either change mind or finish it off quick. But it's Cloud9 who have to put it all on the line. They invest with what they can. Of course, that AK moving forwards, Skadoodle buys a Nova, and Tarek sticks to the CZ.
Definitely a lesser seen gun, but can be strong. Immortals in the defaults. They've got one person back of halls, a few up at mid. No one really aggressive banana right now, and the bomb station top alt. It's really up to Cloud9 to try to make something happen. These early grenades are going to shy them off of really aggressive spots. That spam was extremely good. Only actually 50 damage. Zach, however, yeah.
Catches Tarek inside of B Apartments. Untradeable position there from Tarek. And as mentioned, Stewie gets caught with that spam, so he sits to 55. Smoke grenade blocks off the line of sight for automatic, so Molotov in response, just burning out the utility, really. I'm sure Immortals know that the funds for Cloud9 are low. They're going to try to get everything out of them that they can before they decide to strike. I mean, we're at the 50-second mark, and there's no pressure on Immortals. They can continue this pace.
Yeah, I love how they're using all their utility early so they can't get caught with their pants down, just taking control of things, pushing CTs back in a situation where they're low on numbers, low on utility, low on guns, and they need to make a play, so it's making it difficult to do even just that. And Zach at mid is going to make a little bit of last noise before they hit B. Stewie in a rotator spot, no one dedicated to the site.
Yeah, that perfectly pulled the rotation away from the B site, allows for the Immortals to just creep in. So while Zach is caught on the A site, the jig is up unless Stu can hold the line. He is able to find one frag, but Bolts will trade it back, and he, with the bomb, plants behind the fountain. Of course, Henny's already posted up on this angle, hoping that somebody walks across. Automatic does still have the smoke if they want to block him out, but it's not guaranteed, as we have ourselves a 3v3, and the CTs push in. Nice angle from Lucas, off of the boxes, as Henny's hop finds the next and the last. It's the Immortals with a 16-5 win on the opening map.
Stellar performance, and there I just want to say, like, I like on the force buys how Immortals are using all their grenades early as opposed to doing things like relying on walkouts, which can kind of be a risk, I think, and sometimes we see teams like walk into UMP, walk into a CZ kill. There, they really made it safe and took all their map control properly. We're just going through the motions, and even with Zach, look like a proper team.
I was going to say, I'm pretty impressed with the fact that he is a coach and he's standing in for this game. We thought maybe that would be the edge that Cloud9 could exploit, but in this case, he held his own. And not just in a very defensive way. I feel like he was quite proactive on Arch side, playing that rotator position and keeping things fresh. Speaking of fresh, we're going to throw this back to the analyst desk where the experts reside.
All right, thank you very much, Scrawny. And indeed, we do see Immortals still, despite being one man down, able to close out against Cloud9 with relative ease here. Gentlemen, 16-5 on the very first map. Expected scoreline or a little bit surprised here?
I'm pretty surprised on this one. I felt like C9 would have put up a bigger fight. I know we all know that they're kind of struggling at the moment with just teamwork and roles, but it really showed this match that they still have a long ways to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think Launders put it pretty well. C9 lost all of the worst rounds to lose, right? Like, if you're losing those reset rounds at every time there's an opportunity for a reset round, it's going to be a really hard half. I think Immortals also won both pistols, if I'm not mistaken, right? Isn't that right? C9 had a favorable afterplant in the first pistol, and then it got retaken upon, which was unfortunate. And also, Immortals seem to have a really smart timing of when they would go aggressive on CT side. I think Inferno is one of those maps where you kind of have to have an awareness of when is a good time to retake a certain spot of the map, right? We saw a really good retake on Boiler Room and Alt Mid, which completely demolished one of C9's strats, and we'll go over that in a bit. And then also Banana as well. Henny was just opping everybody at Banana, even had an ace that one round. So
yeah, that's one thing that I love watching about Immortals is that their routes and their teamwork. If one person's peeking middle, their teammates are peeking halls, trying to pinch, and always trying to get the easiest kills possible. And that's that's why Immortals is so awesome at their play. That's why Zach can kind of fill in without he doesn't have to have the best aim in the world. He has to just know when to peek, and work with your teammates. And you can see compared to the C9 team, it's almost the opposite, where you have people running out, dying way before their teammates can help, and the crossfires and angles are just really off on their CT side. So it's very contrasting games between the two.
Well, we had some good moments for Cloud9 throughout the course of that game, and one of them happened on round 12. Gentlemen, why don't you explain what's going on here?
So on this one, on round 10, is that so C9, they make a whole bunch of noise middle. Now from the previous rounds in the match, we know that Immortals were stacking 4 people towards A when there's no pressure at Banana. So I think I don't know who's over there in Banana. Could be Stewie or something. But right here, they make C9 makes a lot of noise middle. They camp rush in this little nook over here, so to kind of keep the Immortals team up here. And then once he makes a move, he has a kill, and then they just rush towards B, completely catching Hen 1 off guard at this moment. And so it's a really nice call by C9. And it really just works the map that they kind of played off Immortals. They knew they put 4 people in A often if you gave up Banana, so they use that against them. Take pick A, take up B really fast, and so it allows Immortals take a lot longer to rotate back to B.
Yeah, I mean, if you can kind of get down pat that seesawing style, I like we were talking about that while we were watching the game, is if you have that seesaw style where you can kind of pivot between both sites, because the T's have a faster rotation time, that's kind of the name of the game on Inferno, right? That's kind of like the default is the seesaw effect. I think something that also made that strat work is when you see C9 falling back through mid, you can kind of tell by the speed with which they're moving on the radar whether or not they're walking or running, right? And we saw Zach in that cubby position on arch side. That's one of the closest places you can get in mid to hear the sound information. So I think they stopped walking around like Mexi Pit area, right? That's when you can stop being heard by SCT in that position. So they played that round really well.
Well, of course, unfortunately for Cloud9, things didn't always go in their way, as we'll see from this replay here on round 12. Gentlemen,
yeah, I wanted to talk about this strat. So this is kind of going back to Zach fitting in really well on the A side of the map. So it's like mid-late round right here, 1 minute left on the clock. They're making a decent amount of noise over in B, and then they cut noise for about 15 seconds, and I think 2 smokes and some utility is thrown over towards A. Tark drops the bomb right there, which the CT's definitely heard as there's somebody in Boiler. Automatic's going to throw a smoke that was previously used, I think, on round 3 for an aggressive hit towards A. And Henny, because he got that information about the sound, the bomb dropping, he's like, all right, let's go for this aggressive pick. I know they're on a bad buy, and completely blows their strat out of the water. It makes it completely meaningless, right? Like, they didn't even get any part of the mind games of the strat able to be put into action, right? Because Henny made an aggressive play, which was told to him by Zach, kills somebody, knows there's extra people in mid, bomb down, people over at B, your fake is now meaningless.
Not only that, is that as he's taking this mid shot, his teammates are in the halls waiting to push or peek as they did in the alt middle.
Yeah, and he shot somebody in the top of the head from, yeah, right. He's like, I'm buying a UMP even though I have $7,000 because I'm the bank of Henny for this half because KNG's not here.
And we should mention once again that Zach is able to perform this well as a stand-in for the team.
He's a great player. Like, he's so good. It's like I would not even comment on that. I'd put him on par with the average Pro League player. I've played against him a few times. He's really good.
Well, we saw a couple more signs of life for Cloud9 towards the end of the match at round 19 as well, as we had a great play. I believe this was from Rush inside of the pit. Gentlemen, go ahead and explain what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so this play is going to... I think this round's starting pretty early. Or no, it isn't. They're actually going to go straight with the Halls jump. So Immortals is going to go with the GG technique here. We're like, we don't care. We're coming out of the hardest part of the map. We're going to throw the chimney flash. But Rush is like, nah, dog. I'm going to spray down 4 of you, get 2 easy kills, wide swing to the broken wall, nade lane. So the timing of the tease is off here, which sets up the best flash in the game off of the doorway. Gets the 4th guy, or that's his 3rd kill of the round, and he buys time for his teammates coming from Arch. So I was talking to Bears over here, and we were talking about, like, why would Rush not stay under the balcony at the headshot angle after getting the first 2 kills on balconies, right? Well, Rush probably looks at his radar, and he's like, if I stay here and I let those guys push me lane side, it's not enough time to buy for my guys coming from Arch, so I need to swing and try and get 1 and maybe delay them just a few seconds longer.
Well, that indeed will do it here for our first map on Inferno, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up in just a few moments, we are going to be jumping over to Train to close out the night. Do stick with us, and we'll be bringing that match to you in just a couple of moments right after this break.
Ladder animation.